Hello friends! You're on the Last Days channel. Thank you so much for your engagement and support. And so, a review of events for July 17th. Alaska, USA. A magnitude 7.2 earthquake struck the Alaska Peninsula, briefly triggering a tsunami warning. There was no information about possible casualties and destruction. The U.S. National Weather Service warned of the tsunami threat and emergency warning system sirens were activated. A tsunami threat was declared for areas of the Pacific Ocean near the epicenter of the earthquake. The U.S. Geological Survey downgraded the strength of the quake after estimating a magnitude 7.4 quake. The earthquake struck about 90 kilometers southwest of the city of St. Point. Alaska is part of the seismically active Pacific Ring of Fire. In March 1964, a 9.2 magnitude earthquake occurred, the strongest earthquake ever recorded in North America. This earthquake destroyed the city of Anchorage and caused a tsunami that struck the Gulf of Alaska, the U.S. West Coast, and Hawaii.
Whoa, earthquake!
Scotland. A mass stranding in the Western Isles has killed an entire flock of 55 pilot whales. An organization dedicated to protecting marine animals attempted to rescue the surviving whales, but only 15 individuals survived. One of the whales became stranded and could not be pulled ashore. Pilot whales are known for their strong social bonds, so when one whale gets stranded and goes aground, the others follow it throughout the day. Attempts to give the surviving whales first aid continued, but after one of the whales tried to be pulled ashore, it was found further down the beach. 3 more whales have since died, leaving 12 survivors, 8 adults and 4 calves. Oman. A powerful tropical cyclone is currently sweeping across the Arabian Peninsula, bringing heavy rains to Oman and causing flooding in several cities. The torrents of water have washed away roads and paralyzed traffic, demolishing everything in its path. Locals are panicking to leave their homes due to the extreme weather. According to forecasters, the downpours will only intensify in the coming days. 3 cars with people were swept away by the torrents of water, 6 people were rescued, 2 more are missing. A car driven by a woman was washed off the highway by a flood. The most difficult situation will be in the northern regions of the country, where gale force winds are expected. Al-Sharqi and Al-Dahiliya provinces will suffer the most from the abundant rainfall. A month earlier, Oman was also hit by floods caused by heavy rains that lasted for several days. The streets of some cities actually turned into raging rivers and dozens of vehicles were damaged. Italy. Resorts in Italy have been put at risk by a severe storm, which was accompanied by torrential rain and linear wind gusts. The Ravenna area on the coast was particularly affected, leaving behind an incredible trail of damage. In Serbia, on the coast strong winds fell about 60 trees, mostly pine trees, most of them in a pine forest. The video footage is impressive, it looks like a tornado hit the area. Data from the area indicate wind gusts of 90 km per hour in Forli and 63 km per hour in Cesenatico. In some pine forests of Milano Marittimo access is prohibited as a measure. The Civil Guard and the fire department immediately intervened to clear the streets. Sun. On Sunday, July 16th, 3 powerful M-class flares occurred on the Sun. One of them caused disruption of shortwave radio communications on Earth. According to the Helium Geophysical Survey of the Institute of Applied Geophysics, a Class M flare in the X-ray band was detected on July 16. It lasted 14 minutes and caused communication problems. In total, scientists divide solar flares into 5 classes depending on the power of X-ray radiation. In February 2023, a powerful flare occurred on the Sun, which lasted 72 minutes. It was assigned the highest class. Canada. Canada currently has over 900 active wildfires, of which about 600 are out of control. More than 700 million tons of carbon has been released into the atmosphere in recent weeks, and the number continues to rise. The scale of wildfires this year is unprecedented, experts say. The fire has already managed to destroy 10 million hectares of territory. Recall that in May and June forest fires covered Quebec, British Columbia, and other regions of the country. In early June, the smoke reached the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., as well as New York. Local residents were urged to reduce their stay outside. Montreal, Canada. More than 500,000 homes were left without power after a severe thunderstorm hit the Canadian province of Quebec. The thunderstorm was unusual because it covered such a wide geographic area. 2 severe weather warnings were issued for the Montreal area. Wind gusts reached 100 kilometers per hour, strong winds felled trees, damaged houses, and disrupted traffic. In 2 hours, about 85 millimeters of rain fell in the city, and about 300 trees were damaged or felled. Emergency services were flooded with calls for help, and fire crews responded to more than 500 calls. Authorities say it could take several days to repair all the damage. Turkey. A large forest fire has broken out in Turkey's Çanakkale province. So far, it has not been brought under control. The fire is hampered by dry hot weather and gusty winds. To contain the fire in the region, additionally sent firefighters and special equipment. Note that this week also burned forests in Bodrum. The cause of the fire has not been determined. It covered the territory near the international airport in the south of the country. As of today, it has been completely extinguished. South Korea. Floods and landslides in South Korea have already killed 32 people and 20 more are missing. Search and rescue efforts continue day and night, but the rain has not stopped and forecasters are not promising good weather. Like in a disaster movie, a car tunnel in the Korean city of Cheongju became a death trap. 15 cars and a bus were trapped in an underground overpass filled with water. Only 9 people were rescued, while the rest have a slim chance of survival, experts warned. A similar situation occurred in the city of Aseong, where an underground parking lot went underwater along with cars with people in them. The number of flood victims in South Korea continues to rise, with dozens of people listed as missing. Great destruction occurred in mountainous areas of the republic, where heavy equipment cannot reach, and rescuers have to remove the rubble by hand. The rains have been raging for the 3rd day in a row, with the central and southeastern regions of the country hit hardest. Tens of thousands of hectares of agricultural land have been flooded, 97 roads and 20 national parks have been closed, high-speed and regular trains have been stopped. Nearly 8,000 people were urgently evacuated to safe places. Meteorologists' forecast is disappointing. Rain will continue to pour on Monday. Canaries. In the Canary Islands, because of a forest fire, was evacuated more than 2,000 people. The fire occurred on the island of Palma, near the settlement of Punta Gorda. The fire has engulfed 4,000 hectares of forest and has not yet been brought under control. In fighting the fire, 12 houses were burned. Airborne equipment was used to extinguish the fire. Tomsk region. Tomsk and the Tomsk region experienced heavy rain with thunderstorms, and large hail fell in some settlements of the region. The consequences of the weather conditions appeared before the residents of the region in the form of roads littered with fallen trees. According to eyewitnesses, in Seversk fell trees on the road from dacha plots on the crossroads. The passage was temporarily blocked and dismantled and sawed the fallen trees themselves. Motorists in social networks also reported problems on the roads. On Smirnov Street in Tomsk, lightning struck a tree, which subsequently fell and blocked the road, creating difficulties for traffic in the direction of the Arz microdistrict. But the hurricane in the Tomsk region did not do without hail. Large hail fell in the village of Astrakhan in the Kozebnikovsky district, between Pobeda and Kiryevsk. Since yesterday, the road to the village of Kozy Yelina in the Tomsk district has been littered with trees. Saratov region. Due to heavy rain in the village of Solyanka in the Saratov region, there was a flood. Flooded about 100 houses and adjacent territories, more than 180 people were affected. The authorities have declared an emergency situation in the village. The head of the Life Safety Department reported that out of 100 flooded houses and adjacent territories, 50 were completely flooded. The water entered the houses. 183 people were affected, 18 people were placed in temporary accommodation centers. 2 people will stay in the temporary accommodation centers overnight. The rest of the evacuated people are staying with relatives. China. Tropical storm Talim, which originated in the South China Sea, turned into a typhoon on Sunday evening and is approaching China's southern coast. This was reported by the Hong Kong Meteorological Observatory. At present, the typhoon is in the sea 300 kilometers southeast of Hong Kong and is moving in a northwesterly direction at a speed of 15 kilometers per hour. It is expected to be closest to the city on Monday morning before heading towards China's southern provinces of Guangdong and Hainan. The speed of wind gusts in the center of the typhoon reaches 33 meters per second. Meteorologists predict that Talim will continue to gain strength in the coming hours. The Hong Kong government on Sunday canceled all mass events in the city because of the approaching typhoon, the tourism authorities said. Europe. European countries are suffering from an abnormal heat wave that has resulted in a red weather alert level. In Italy and Greece, the temperature breaks all records, reaching 48 degrees plus Celsius. Even the ancient Acropolis in Greece has been closed due to this. People are trying to save themselves from the heat, resorting to the use of air conditioners and fans. However, power supply systems cannot withstand such a load. Meteorologists named this heat wave Cerberus in honor of the three-headed dog from Greek mythology. Red weather danger level has been declared in 16 cities. Sunny Italy attracts tourists with its historic fountains, which have become a place of escape from the heat wave. However, the Acropolis has become inaccessible to visitors until 5 p.m. In general, the situation is extremely tense and requires measures to combat the consequences of abnormal heat. Japan. Authorities in Japan's Akita Prefecture are battling a natural disaster for the second day. Powerful torrential rains led to the overflow of rivers and landslides, which led to a request for assistance from the country's self-defense forces to help eliminate the consequences of the disaster. It is noted that landslides have occurred particularly near the towns of Oga and Hapa, where access to clean drinking water is already difficult. It is expected that a unit of the self-defense forces could be deployed to these areas as early as Monday. Heavy rains are forecast to continue in this part of Japan until at least Tuesday. Rainfall levels have already exceeded 400 meters in some areas, a record for this part of the country. Several rivers have already overflowed in Akita, with emergency services warning of the threat of more landslides. Both in Akita and in neighboring prefectures under the government in connection with the disaster operates a crisis headquarters, which collects information and coordinates the actions of emergency services. To date, more than 10,000 residents of Akita Prefecture have been ordered to evacuate immediately, and more than 50,000 have been advised to evacuate. No casualties have been reported so far. Astrakhan region. A fire broke out at a garbage dump in Trusovo settlement in the Astrakhan region. The area of the fire is 3,000 square meters, which poses a threat of fire spreading to nearby buildings. Rescuers warned of a possible smell of burning in Astrakhan and 4 districts of the region, urging local residents not to linger outside, not to open windows, and to regularly carry out wet cleaning. Kazakhstan. A forest in the Abay region of Kazakhstan is on fire. Almost 800 hectares of a specially protected natural area are engulfed in flames. About 200 people and 50 units of fire-fighting equipment have arrived on the scene. 2 airplanes from Astana and Semey are also sent to the scene of the fire. Several convoys from Karaganda and East Kazakhstan regions also went to the scene. Earlier, lightning caused a fire in Akmola region of Kazakhstan after its strike ignited drywood near the village of Biktal. The fire covered 15 hectares, and more than 40 firefighters and volunteers fought it. However, strong wind with gusts up to 25 meters per second complicated the work of rescuers. As a result, the fire in the Abay region of Kazakhstan continues to burn. Brazil. Brazil experienced severe flooding today, caused by storms that turned many cities into rivers. The state of Santa Catarina has declared a state of emergency and many people remain without help. Rescuers have already evacuated about 880 people, but many more need help. According to the governor, 2 people have died and 1 person is missing. The military man fell into the river with strong currents and has not been found. Flooding is also occurring in the neighboring state of Parana, and rescue teams with dogs are searching for people in the area of landslides. Dozens of people are reported missing. Landslides have also cut off access to the main port from which grains and sugar are shipped across Brazil. This time the rainfall has been much higher than average, with volumes in some regions up to 6 times higher than normal. Devastating floods have been a regular occurrence in Brazil lately, and this is becoming a serious problem for locals. Taiwan. On the shores of Taiwan, divers have discovered a huge paddlefish known as the herring king or doomsday fish. According to local mythology, this creature is a harbinger of bad luck. Divers noticed that the fish was injured and was probably headed for the shoal to die. Experts speculated that the herring was traumatized after an encounter with a shark. These are the marks of an attack by the glowing Brazilian shark, which lives in warm ocean waters around the world and has the ability to bite off chunks of meat. The doomsday fish lives between 200 and 1,000 meters below the ocean surface and reaches more than 2 meters in length. The Guinness Book of World Records recognizes this fish as the longest recorded fish. The people of Taiwan believe that its coming to the surface is a bad sign. Confirmation of this was found 2 years before the earthquake and tsunami in Fukushima, when dozens of such creatures washed ashore.